G'day everybody, Clok-Roo reporting, and today for this rambling video, I'm going to be doing something a bit different. The past two videos, I was looking forward into the franchises I was talking about, them being Crash Bandicoot and Skylanders, and I was questioning the future of those franchises with the direction they were going. But for today, I want to look back on something, and I want to gush over it. I want to talk about Animal Crossing. So quick history first of all, how did I get into Animal Crossing to begin with? Well, first of all, on my DS, I just suddenly found myself in possession of Animal Crossing Wild World, so I started playing it. And I was really liking the game, I really liked it. It was fun and good, it was nice. Right up to the point where my in-game girlfriend, shall we say, she left town, and from that moment, I just started to lose motivation with the game. I started playing it less frequently, I started playing it sporadically, I started playing it only at certain times of the day, specifically nighttime, and eventually I just stopped completely. And even now that probably wouldn't matter because I just found out that my cartridge is no longer functioning. Then I got my 3DS, and I found myself in possession of Animal Crossing New Leaf. And ever since I started playing that, I have not stopped with it since. I mean, yeah, it's been a couple of days and maybe a week where I have skipped out and not played it, but as a whole, I have loved Animal Crossing New Leaf. It's one of my top 10 favorite video games of all time. I love it. It's fantastic. But I'm not here to just talk Animal Crossing. I want to talk a little bit more specifically about something. I want to talk about the Animal Crossing movie. For those of you who aren't big Animal Crossing fans, I'm surprised you found this video, to be honest. But allow me to fill it in on what the Animal Crossing movie... Actually, no, first of all, how did I figure out that there was such a thing as the Animal Crossing movie? Well, here's how I found it out, okay? So I was just playing Animal Crossing New Leaf, and then I found myself thinking to myself, you know what? I'd like to learn a little bit more information about my favorite residents. So I went straight to the internet, I looked up my favorite residents, and through that I found out there was an Animal Crossing wiki, which there would have to be in the modern day and age. So I started looking through that, and I come to my favorite residence page, which is Whitney the Wolf, and as I'm scrolling through it, I find out that there's something called the Animal Crossing movie, and that got me interested and wanting to know more and more about it. So I kept digging through the wiki, found as much information on it I could, and then I even learned that there was an English fan dub of the movie because it was only released in Japan. Yeah, typical Japan. They always get the good stuff that we don't. Unfortunately for me, I could not watch the English fan dub because of a big issue. My internet is pretty much next to rubbish. I can't use it for big long periods of the time, otherwise I run out very quickly because of where I live. So as a consequence, I barely had any opportunity to watch the movie. Fortunately though, about a month ago, I had the perfect opportunity to watch it without having any consequence. So I did take that opportunity to watch the English fan dub of the movie. As soon as I started watching it, I fell in love with the movie straight away. I loved it, loved it, loved it. It wasn't perfect, but it was fantastic as far as English fan dubs of video game movies go, because we all know the history of video game movies. Let's not touch on that, shall we? Let's not touch on that just yet. So let's talk a little bit about the movie first of all. What exactly is the Animal Crossing movie? The movie was released about a year after Animal Crossing Wild World, and therefore is based off of the events of Animal Crossing Wild World. Irony, isn't it, that the first Animal Crossing I played was Wild World, and the movie is based off of Wild World. And the base plot of the movie is simply, we're spending a year in Animal Village of the human character, which takes our place in the movie, which is I. Now, I know some of you might be wondering that I'm movie buffs, that doesn't sound like a good movie at all. Well, we'll break it down so that makes more sense, okay? First of all, you need to understand that what they did with the Animal Crossing movie was, instead of making plot for something that doesn't have a plot, they instead took elements from the game and created mini-stories that encompass around those elements, and then they just linked them all together to create an overarching story, which works really well, actually. In fact, it doesn't actually feel like you're watching a movie, it actually feels more like you're watching a compressed version of a full-length anime series. Kind of like one of those, movies based off TV cartoons that are just episodes from the cartoons just compressed together to make one big, long movie. It's like one of those movies. And it actually works, okay? But I want to talk a little bit about some of the actual aspects that happened in the movie that I really liked, and one particular one that I wasn't particularly happy with. But first of all, let's start with the ones that I really, really liked. First of all, I'd like to start by talking about the main character, I find I to be probably the most relatable character in in not just movies and not just video games, but pretty much all media. There's very few characters I find relatable in pop culture because there's none that I really can associate with myself. I mean, not in terms of personality and in terms of characteristics, but I as a character and how she is used in Animal Crossing, I find that very relatable to how I started out with Animal Crossing Wild World. I went in playing Animal Crossing Wild World with next to no knowledge about the franchise prior. I had no knowledge of Animal Crossing. I had no idea what was going on. I had to learn everything from scratch. I had to learn everything about the Animal Crossing lifestyle and the village life from the very start. From the very beginning, from the very basics. And as I went along, the story events, I found them very relatable. There's one in particular that I found very relatable, to be exact. That was I and Margie's relationship. Although my relationship was with the squirrel character that is Mint, the Animal Crossing girlfriend I mentioned earlier on. Except my relationship with Mint was a little bit stronger than that of Margie with I. What happened was, I and Margie became really close friends. And then because Margie wanted to fulfill her dream, she moved out of Animal Village. And as you can imagine, I was heartbroken. That's how I felt when when Mint left my town. I really wanted her to stay. Then she left town. I was utterly heartbroken. And that's what started the chain of me playing Animal Crossing Wild World less frequently. Except I didn't go to the roost to drink my worries away like I did. That moment, I think a lot of Animal Crossing fans, myself especially, can relate themselves to I in that moment. That is a very relatable scene. I really like the way they portrayed it as well. That was really well done, that moment. On to the next movie I want to talk about, and I really want to gush over this because I love the way the movie portrayed the next character. Rosie. Oh, Lord, that was brilliant. That was awesome. I love that. That was fantastic. Rosie is a peppy character, which basically means she's all full of energy, very abundant, and she makes herself out to be like a pop star when she's not. But if anything, I think the movie probably got the peppy character nature a little bit too right, because they just made it too damn good. That was brilliant. That scene when we got introduced to her, that's not just brilliant. That was art, that scene. I loved it. I just couldn't stop smiling and giggling at it. It was that good. Just the way she just prancing about, taking complete ignorance of its existence. That was awesome. I loved it. It was just brilliant. You'd think I wouldn't like it, but nope, I loved it. And just the way they keep going with Rosie as that type of character throughout the movie, that was just brilliant. I loved it. Particularly when they gave her that personality of being completely ditzy. She wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. She would often make a couple of weird blunders, not understand a couple of things, but it just all worked completely together. You think it wouldn't work, but nope, it did. It was brilliant. It all gelled together perfectly. It was fantastic. That movie alone actually made me fall in love with Rosie as a character. Normally I fell in love with the residents through the games. Rosie I fell in love with through nothing but the movie. But now on to the one thing I want to talk about that I wasn't so much as angry with, I wasn't upset by, I was just disappointed and underwhelmed by the usage of them. Before I mentioned that my favorite Animal Crossing resident was Whitney, who appears in the movie, yeah, I was pretty underwhelmed by how the movie used Whitney, shall we say. It was kind of disappointing to me, simply because I felt that they didn't use her enough, given the amount of screen time she had. She had lots of screen time, but her usage in the movie was kind of not what I was expecting. It was kind of a letdown. She only had that one good scene. For the rest of the time, though, she was just a filler character. And that one good scene was when she was consoling I after Margie had left Animal Village. That scene they did a fantastic job with. But the rest of the time, Whitney is just sitting there in the background, just waiting to be talked. But she keeps getting shoved in front of the camera like as if... Okay, let me give you a simile, an exaggerated simile, of what I thought of Whitney's appearances in the Animal Crossing movie were like. Whitney was like the celebrity bodyguard that got more camera time than the actual celebrity. I know it's kind of exaggerating considering we still spend a lot of time focusing on I, Rosie, Margie, you, and Alfonso when their stories are relevant. But I just really didn't like the fact that they just kept on putting Whitney in front of the camera when she didn't need to be. She wasn't that important of a character in the end. She was only useful for that one moment. There was one other thing about Whitney that they did put to good use, but this was a really annoying moment for me because before watching the movie, okay? So forget I even mentioned the movie, okay? I was under the impression that Whitney was in a relationship with Wolfgang the wolf. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? They're two wolves, it obviously makes sense. And the reason why is because while playing Animal Crossing Wild World, the character interactions between Whitney and Wolfgang, there was just something about them that just seemed to work together. Even when they weren't being entirely friendly to one another, I just assumed there was a bunch of jest between them. It's weird because if you did it for any other character, I would not have assumed that same character relationship. But with Whitney and Wolfgang, I think it's just because they were both wolves. I could just assume they were kind of having a bit of fun with each other, kind of joking around. It just worked for them. And then in Animal Crossing New Leaf, when you got the album covers for the KK Slider songs, on the cover of KK Waltz, who's dancing right there? Whitney and Wolfgang. So you can imagine that I'm under the impression that Whitney and Wolfgang are established as a couple. What does the movie do? Whitney and Apollo the Eagle. Oh, movie. Why? Why did you do that? Everything I knew was a lie up until that point. Why? That was so annoying when I found that out. I really, I'm not angry about them making that relationship. I mean, that's fine at all. I was angry that they ruined the relationship that I had established. I mean, they made the Whitney-Apollo relationship work. It was part of the reason that the Whitney consoling eye scene was able to work so well. But I was so annoyed that they kind of ruined something I had been long expecting and long hoping to be true. But that's enough about actual moments. I want to move on to character specifics. I namely want to talk about the actual English fan dubbing that was done and the portrayal of the characters through their personalities and their voice acting. In both departments, I really have to commend Rosie and her voice actress. I've already gushed over Rosie once, but I just gotta do it again. That is how you portray a character bang on perfect. You gotta get that right. Right. That was awesome. The voice actress really helped nail the personality and the character. That is brilliant. I'm at a loss of words to really go over Rosie, to be honest. Now, I want to move on. Obviously, it has to be KK Slider. Obviously, KK Slider. No more obvious than that. I mean, KK Slider is one of those characters that you have to get right. If you don't get it right, you fail. You fail immediately. You have to get the right voice in order for it to even be half successful. Getting the voice, getting the personality, getting that all bang on right is what makes KK Slider KK Slider. We all know that. And I said that the guy that did KK Slider's voice was brilliant. But even more amazingly, the guy that did the singing for the song KK Bossa. Mate, you need to be in the professional music industry. That is brilliant what you did there. I love that cover of KK Bossa. That was amazing. You might need to get into the professional industry. You got it, mate. Get yourself signed up with a record label. Get yourself doing all sorts of professional stuff. And even if that doesn't come to be, I think many of us will be happy for now with you just doing English versions of KK Slider songs for now. We'll be happy with that. Now finally, I want to talk about the portrayals of some of the characters in the movie. The first one I want to go on about is, even though I wasn't happy with the way they used her in the movie, the character portrayal of Whitney, that was really well done. You could have just done a straightforward, snooty personality, but no, they did something different with Whitney. They gave her that soft, caring, gentle, muzzly tone, which was very appropriate for Whitney, I thought. It was very well done. I loved it. It's perfect for her, if you ask me. Because that is how Whitney really is to me. Just very caring, very soft, very kind. That is how I view Whitney as a character in general. And the final character I want to talk about in terms of their personality portrayal is, believe it or not, Rossetti. Now, why am I bringing Rossetti up into this? Because let's refer back to younger audiences that play Animal Crossing. What happens whenever Rossetti pops up for them? They get a bit of a fright is what happens, because Rossetti just pops up, starts shouting, ranting and raving and carrying on. He just goes on a complete rampage. In the movie, they nailed that absolutely perfectly. Not just with the animation choices they used, with that fan dubbing voice they used. You couldn't have done it better if you tried. That was just... That was bang on. You can really get that really startled me even. That's how you managed to pull off Rossetti right. That's what I liked about that. That was brilliant, I have to say. And actually, come to think of it, that's all I've really got to talk about with the Animal Crossing movie. Final thoughts, okay? I absolutely loves the Animal Crossing movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'd say that as far as fan dubbing goes, it's a triumph. It's brilliant. As far as video game movies goes, particularly for the time, it's a triumph. Like we always say, Japan always gets the good shit. Why can't we have gotten it? But that's it for me, guys. That's all I gotta talk about. That's all I'm done. I'm done gushing over the Animal Crossing movie. I'm the Primordial Clok-Roo, signing out.